Hello and welcome to Vidhammer, the battle report resource for Warhammer Fantasy. In this video we'll be covering a 2500 point matchup between the Skaven and the Ogre kingdoms using the 8th edition rules. We've selected the battle for the pass scenario, and since the playing area is larger than regulation, the outside 6 inches on the left and right side are considered as off of the board. Our terrain consists of 2 hills and 2 forests in opposing corners and a house slightly off of center. For spell generation, the Skaven have 3 casters and end up with Wither, Warp Lightning, Crack's Call, Scorch, Death Frenzy, and Plague. The Ogres take Caress of Lyneth, Troll Guts, the Great Maw, and Toothcracker. Skaven take the far side of the table, and the Ogres have to set up first. For their first 3 placements, the Ogres use groups of 10 Nobbler trappers to set up a screen, while the Skaven place their slave units in the middle of their field, with a group of 20 clan rats in between with the Poison Wind Mortar weapon team. The Ogres place their Iron Blaster war machine on the far left of their battle line, and the Skaven follow suit, placing 2 Warp Lightning cannons in their rear corners and 2 Plague Claw catapults just off the edges of the screen. 20 Ogre Bulls comprise the largest unit of the Ogres and are placed in the right center of their line. For the Skaven, a unit of 30 Plague Monks pushing the Plague Furnace are deployed opposite the Ogre Bulls, and a second unit of 9 Ogre Bulls are placed in the left center of the Ogre line. The Skaven flank their Plague Monk unit with Plague Censer Bearers on their next 2 placements, as the Ogres start placing units of 4 Lead Belchers. The Skaven place the remaining 3 units of 20 Clan Rats with weapon teams, 2 Poisoned Wind Mortars, and 1 Warp Fire Thrower. For the Ogres, their BSB and General are placed in their large complement of Ogre Bulls. The Skaven place their BSB in one of the slave units, and their Grey Seer General sits in the centermost unit of Clan Rats, while a Warlock Engineer goes in another group of Clan Rats, and the Plague Priest sits on the Furnace, of course. The Ogres win the starting roll and begin moving their line forward. For the magic phase, the Ogres attempt to cast Troll Guts, but it gets dispelled. With a single die remaining, they attempt Caress of Lyneth, but the spell fails. In the first round of Ogre shooting, the Iron Belcher kills off 2 Clan Rats and hits the Warp Lightning Cannon for a single wound, but the ward save keeps the attached Poison Wind Mortar team breathing. 2 Lead Belcher units hit both of the units of Censer Bearers and reduce one unit to 3 models and the second to only 1 model. The remaining Lead Belcher unit takes out 4 Plague Monks. On the Skaven turn, the single Plague Censer unit fails to restrain and charges the rightmost Nobbler unit, but it was an oversight and didn't happen until all other movement was made. The rest of the Skaven line moves up to be even with the Plague Monks. During the magic phase, the Grey Seer casts Scorch on the smaller unit of Ogre Bulls, causing 4 wounds, and making the unit flee after a failed leadership test. Backlash from Irresistible Force killed 6 Clan Rats but didn't wound the Grey Seer, who then attempted to cast Plague, but it was dispelled. With the remaining dice, the Warlock Engineer cast Warp Lightning on the Iron Blaster and caused 2 wounds. The first shooting comes from the far left Warp Lightning Cannon, which hits the Iron Blaster for 3 wounds, eliminating it. The leftmost and center Nobblar units are hit by 2 of the Poison Wind Mortar teams, which both run from the resultant casualties. The Warp Lightning Cannon fires at the rightmost unit of Lead Belchers, but the shot falls short, landing on the remaining Nobblar unit. The Plague Claw catapults shoot for the side-by-side Belcher units in the center of the field, but one shot drifts off and the other is unable to inflict any wounds. On the second turn, the larger Ogre Bull unit charges what's left of the Plague Censer Bearers. Also, the smaller Ogre Bull unit rallies, as well as one of the Nobbler units. The Lead Belchers move up and begin making their way left. For the magic phase, the ogres attempt to cast the Great Maw on the plague monks, but it miscasts and ends up killing off 6 ogre bulls. They also attempted to cast Toothcracker, but this spell was dispelled. In the shooting phase, one of the lead belchers takes out the warp fire thrower team, and the other 2 deal 4 wounds to the plague furnace. Close combat sees to the quick demise of the plague censer bearers that manage to inflict 2 wounds before they die. The ogre bulls choose to reform and turn towards the plague monks rather than overrunning into the slaves. The ogres decided to resign the game after the miscast of the Great Maw, but we decided to play out a charge from the unit of plague monks just so we could see the results. The plague furnace inflicted 2 impact wounds, plus 1 wound to each unit from the Great Censer. The Slaughtermaster challenged the plague priest and didn't cause any wounds, but took 3 in return. The plague monks using the plague banner were able to take out 9 ogres, but assuming the ogres started from full strength, they would have had enough models to finish off the plague furnace and reduce the plague monks to only 4 models. Although the casualties from the miscast to the ogre bulls were significant, they certainly would have inflicted a great deal more damage before the end. This was our first attempt at this ogre build, so we decided the time was better spent sleeping rather than playing to completion. Thanks for watching this battle report. Be sure to check back for more videos each week. Do us a favor and subscribe, and as always, feel free to send a message if you have tactics or matchups that you'd like to see. Till next time from the Vidhammer crew, keep fighting!